call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time it is going to be Jonathan Kent Superman. Now he is a future state figure, son of Clark Kent, who is off planet. Meanwhile, he is trying to make the mantle his own of Superman. And really excited to get to this figure. I actually have a whole stack of figures over here that I need to get through that are just single releases. But it just happened to be that he is up next. Now, I already did have two of these. They were ordered online, but then I wanted a third one, and I did pick him out at Walmart. That way I could pick the, because there's pretty much a lot of visible paint defects, and it's better just to pick it out in store. That way you pretty much have an idea of what you're getting, with the whole shield and then the shoulders that are actually painted in different places. It was just better off picking one in store that I could actually choose. But always happy to add another Superman figure to the collection, and he does look pretty optimistic in the packaging. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your clear DC Multiverse flight stand. Now, we've gotten these before. I actually have tons of these that I do not use, but you just assemble it here, and then you could put them in flight poses if you want to. We'll hold on to that. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, we do have some figure photography, but it is rendered. Look at those eyes. A lot of inner hate in those eyes. Looks really crazy with those red eyes. In the back, you do have some information. Pretty cool. Added to the collection. Now, he does come with alternate hands. Now, he does have one open hand and a fist hand, and then he comes with the same pretty much mirrored hand in the packaging, so you have another fist and another open hand. Pretty cool. Always could use some other hands. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. First impressions, I've actually been looking at this guy for a while, and I really like the more slender buck body form that they used for him. And I actually really like his costume. I mean, aside from no cape, just even like this with a plain body, it is a really nice body buck, and they did add some pretty cool features. All in all, really cool. You still get that Superman motif with the shield, and then the belt is pretty unique, but it looks really nice. And then you do have a pretty traditional Superman color scheme with this guy. So all in all, he looks really good. Like I said, I do like the more slender physique. I mean, he's not really a full-grown man. He's still a teen, but everybody could dream, can't we? Okay, so let's take a look at the head sculpt. Now, I really like the head sculpt. It was just a kind of a weird decision to go with those heat vision eyes, but it is pretty cool to add to the collection. The hair does not really have any highlights in it. It's just black, but it is a semi-gloss satin finish. And the face sculpt actually does remind you of the previous Superman that have been released, so that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the articulation. Now, he can look down moderately, but really hard to get him to look up. Now, his hair hits right away on the back of his neck, and you could just tell that he does not want to look up that much, or at all actually. So we will be modding that. You do get right to left, and you still get some tilt for character, but pretty restricted head movement, even more so because he should get in some cool flying poses. All in all, happy with him. Looks good. Let's take a look at the chest. Look at that shield. Looks really good. I like the way they incorporated all of the shoulder parts to match up with the color. And then moving down, you have a pretty nice stylized belt for Jonathan Kent. Looks good. Take a look at the articulation. He does have side to side. Full waist swivel, lower waist swivel, and upper chest swivel. You can twist them, put them in some cool poses. Now the crunch, slight. He can bend, but more at the hips. The ab crunch is really non-existent, but he can lean back really well for some flying poses. Pretty good. Let's take a look at the shoulder. Beautiful butterfly joint. And this is one of the first times I've seen that they actually painted the two levels. You have the lower baby blue underneath and then the upper red, so that it actually matches up with the paint when you move it around. You have that bushing that allows you to have up and down, front to back, a lot of range. We do have a bicep swivel and double jointed elbows that look really clean. Now going down from the shoulder, really nicely sculpted suit, transitioning into an actual flesh colored sculpted ball joint for the wrist, which I think they didn't have to do, because if you look on the packaging, it's actually blue, which gives it like a cleaner flow from the costume, where it gives you like that you have a long sleeve all the way to your wrist. So I would have just left them blue, but they did decide to paint them flesh. You still do have articulation though at the wrist, and on the other side you have the same uniform. Has kind of like a weird paint cutout right above the bicep, so when you move that around it has to match up with the costume. Let's get him in a T-pose. Pretty cool. Can't really go higher than that, but you can put his arms forward and in front. Sweet articulation. Going down to the legs, let's take a look at his thigh swivel. It is there. Got some good range at the thighs. He can kick up really high, and he can kick back even higher. And of course this is allowed by the trunks that are rubber, and when you put the legs back they just go back to their original shape. You can cock his leg out and he has that sweet hip rotation. Double jointed knees. Don't look as good as the elbows, but they'll pass. Down to the ankle you have up and down, right to left, and toe articulation. Before we go, let's take a look at the whole leg sculpt. Like I said, slender body sculpt for this guy. Has some shorter boots. Kind of youthful costume, which is good. But all the paint apps are there and looks really nice and clean. Now I did say before that a lot of these in package, you got to really be careful and pick out a clean one, because this one does have a lot of paint problems. I think even my wrist was stuck. Had to heat it up. But let's go ahead and take a look at the bottom. No tread, but he does have some identifying marks. Moving up the back, same nice body sculpt. All the way from the boots up into the back. I love the back sculpt on this guy. And he does have those cutouts where you could put the bushings of his arms into there, get him into some cool poses, gives him more range. And the butterflies work actually really well. Beautiful back sculpt on this guy. Really digging it. All in all, to add him to the collection as another Superman character, he is awesome. But of course, I did have to make some alterations. Now, I already knew I was going to do this, so I had gone ahead and bought an extra one. Now this one I did pick out on my own. That way I knew the paint would be nice and clean. And the first thing I did was the head. So we did mod the head to give him more range. He can look up now really high and look down all the way around nice and smoothly. I did add highlights to his hair with some blue paint and also some gloss black just to give it some shine in certain spots. And then I did repaint the eyes to give him just some normal looking blue eyes. Now I did use a darker blue than I usually use for Superman. It's still blue, it's just a little darker tone. And then I did have to paint the iris and all that to give him a good clean look, but he looks really good. Really happy with the paint job on the eyes. Now the next thing I did strip the wrist sculpted ball joints to give him that blue color. The flesh color just came right off, and it actually looks more clean and it doesn't break up the paint till it gets to his wrist. I just love the way it looks a lot cleaner. Really happy with these little changes, and it gives me an alternate version of him. Now another thing I did do is I did get him a cape. Now this is an old Superman cape from Mattel, but I did modify it to where it just slides right on his back. And actually it looks good on him. I like it. I could still mess with it more to get it to fit a little bit more snug, but for my purposes he looks really good. So love the changes I've made on him. Glad to have another Superman figure to add to the collection. Now I have one for my shelf and one for my custom shelf with the painted eyes. But before we go, let's take a look at him next to some other figures. First with the Infinite Frontier Damian Wayne. And then next to my custom Superboy Prime. Stand him next to a little kit bashed Batman 1000. And then finally next to my custom baby blue classic Superman, just for final measure. Now, been a long time waiting to get this guy into the collection. I'm really happy with him. He is just a basic Superman figure like the rest on the shelf, and he'll be going up there in my collection. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.